Ask and you shall receive. Someone asked me for a Veigar versus SPTMO adventure guide, and this is what I came up with. And this worked kinda fine, but I think the run was a little lucky. Anyway, the build is Guardian Angel, Voidborn Carapace, and Chemtech Duplicator. I might try this run again using epic relics, so it would be like Frozen Tomb, maybe big guns, and then still probably Chemtech Duplicator. But this worked for me, and also playing this adventure reminded me why I didn't do this in the first place. And the reason is that second choice node is really difficult. So we'll go through it, and it was a pretty lucky adventure, so not sure how replicable it'll be, but hopefully this helps give an idea of at least how I would approach it. Alright, so starting off, we get our power node. I saw Spellburn and I took it instantly. Okay. Spellburn is very good, and it probably saved my life many times, but also maybe a mana gem is better. Hard to say, because again of that second node choice, which is pretty difficult. So ideally you always get Catalyzer up so that you can increase the power of your darkness. And here I didn't really want to block because I wanted to block Grandma in the next round, but because this would give me extra power on the darkness, and that would give me the ability to remove the 2-3, I decided to trade out to just be able to hit harder with darkness. I don't know if that was correct, but also if you can remove units from the board, then you get less puff caps from Grandma's cooking, so I figured that would be helpful as well. So I tried this build a different time, and I think I might have done double Guardian Angel Voidborn Carapace and dropped Chemtech Duplicator. And then I forgot that that is what I did and tried to replicate it with this build, and that was before Guardian Angel got nerfed, so it doesn't work. But the idea there was I was going to get infinite Veigars and then drop a couple Stilted Robe Makers and then play Darkness for free. Yeah, so that was like the main plan, and I think that would have been a strong build and a generally good idea. You do have to find, actually you don't need to find anything, it just is a fine build, and you get infinite Veigars, and then you can kill your Veigars and then get infinite Darknesses and then spam the infinite Darknesses. That was the idea. And it worked until they nerfed Guardian Angel, and then I forgot they nerfed Guardian Angel, and then this is the build I came up with. So here we are. What Voidborn and Guardian Angel do now, though, is they do make it so that you're immortal, unless you have 6 units on board, in which case that is no longer the case. For some reason, having 6 units on the board does stop you from inheriting the keywords from yourself when you die, so you will lose Deathless in that case. So for an item here, I took Black Spear. It's obviously just better than the other choices. And for a support, I went with a Nocturne because I saw the Stygian, Stygian bird. Originally I was going to go for Heimerdinger because we play a lot of spells and we can make a lot out of it. But then I looked at the Stygian Onlooker, I think. And here I tried to aid a spirit, but it's just never a good plan. Like, actually, I even spent a reroll on it, and just, no, it's never good. So yeah, Stygian Onlooker I took just because of the Spirit Stone. I could play it a lot of times in a round, and then that just gives me some defense that I otherwise lack. It was the same idea behind taking Heimerdinger, where he would get turrets, the Stygian Onlooker instead. You can just play a bunch of times, so I just decided that was a little bit better, but the concept is the same. And then we found Golden Spatula, which I took because if I can play a bunch of Stygian Onlookers, then they all get +2/+2 every time I play them, which seemed like a pretty powerful function. So here you can see they're 6-5 and 6-3, which is nice. and then I attack because I want just less units from their side on the board. Although holding to block maybe makes more sense because they can just refill their board anyway. Anyway, here I play the wizard. I'm gonna say he's a wizard. And for the mana gem, getting into Chemtech is very important. The quicker you can do it, the better. But one of the problems with this fight in particular is that we can actually never level Veigar up, which means we can never do damage to the Nexus, with darkness at least. So that this fight was saved almost entirely by having Spellburn as an option, and I'm not sure I would have been able to beat it without. I'm just going to be completely upfront about that. I'm not sure that I would have been able to beat it without. Because we are sleeping things, and we can do that pretty well. However, we can't really ever hit the enemy Nexus unless we save up a bunch of darknesses and cast them all at once, or some of our units have impact. We can do 1 damage with the impact. We can sleep their guys before an attack and then try to sneak something through. There's a lot of ways you can attempt to do damage, but none of them are very good. And yeah, just having to do a bunch of damage when you can't really target, and you can't level up Veigar, which is your primary win condition, is bad. And the problem is if you go the other way to explosive entrance, I think is what it's called, you're just gonna die on like round 2. So that's not better, unfortunately. So here I decided to keep my units alive. I did attack and they didn't block, and I'm not sure why they didn't block, because they had easy kills there. So yeah, that confused me quite a bit. Fortunately, they do like to sprite dance their unit, so we are often not having to block 6 things, we're only having to block 5 instead, which is pretty nice. And here I decided to keep a couple of my guys alive, or at least one of them, just so I could attack with that extra impact, just looking for a way to deal damage. I'm not sure if you can deck them out, but that might also be an option if you don't have Spellburn, but you'd probably need a different build for that. So I'm thinking maybe something like Harmless Scarecrow, Rhythm of Despair, something to that effect. And then, yeah, you just play 3-cost cards and try to remove their cards from their deck. I think they might have something with Grifter's deck though, if I recall correctly. And if that's the case, you can never run them out of cards, which would be a little bit unfortunate. So here I slept my Veigar to keep him alive, and again we're just doing a little bit of ping damage with the impact. It's not good. Obviously any other fight, if we lasted to this round, we would have easily won just by virtue of being able to darkness the Nexus, but we can't do that here. So we are blocking as much as possible, and making sure Veigar stays alive. We still need him to do the spell burn with the darkness, even though the darkness can't hit the Nexus. But yeah, being completely unable to ever target the Nexus with darkness is probably why I didn't do this the first time it was around. And I shouldn't have used that Black Spear there. I think right now I'm just trying to push damage. And even that's not that good because the extra spells are fizzling from not having targets. So it's a really bad situation. Pokey Stick does 8 because of Spellburn, and then we can darkness and Event Horizon to finish it off. Yeah, that's gonna be rough. That's gonna be your stopping point, I would think. And then after that, it doesn't really get that much better. I took Fading Memories here because it's just an inexpensive spell and you can copy Twisted Catalyzer. I figured getting more Twisted Catalyzers is probably good. You could also copy Stygian Onlooker that we added to our deck, which has Spirit Stone, so that we could play more birds, and that would probably be good as well. So that was the thought process there. And then landmarks are usually bad, so unless they look incredible for some reason, don't pick them up. And I think A2 friendly Poet is easier than Dancers, especially since I don't have to remember that they switch places. Okay, we drop a bird, we copy the bird, we drop another bird, and we attack. Pass. So if you do have the Wizened Adept, you should play it on this round, is my general feeling here. I didn't because I wanted a line of blockers, but having that extra mana does really matter. You do want it on round 3 so that you can drop Veigar on 4, and then you have Chemtech on 6, or on round... Okay. You drop it when you have 3 mana, which is round 2, which gives you 5 mana for round 3. You drop Veigar, and then on round 4, you have Chemtech, and then you win the game. There we go. That's what I meant to say. But without Chemtech, it's a lot more resource heavy in order to keep control of the board. Also, they just played a lot of landmarks and, you know, removed all of my birds, which is really unfair. But I really like the Voidborn Deathless Guardian Angel, I guess. If you had Price of Retribution, that would probably be better. You lose out on revives, but you would gain extra damage whenever you died, which would probably be significant, actually. But I don't have it, so... And I was doing this with no epic relics anyway. But also I don't have it. And then, yeah, you could look for ways to kill your Veigar. I do think if you play enough Stilted Roadmakers, you could infinitely kill your Veigar. Because whenever he's summoned, he creates a darkness, and then if you can play that darkness for free with Stilted Roadmaker, you could cycle it, and then you'd have an infinite, which, I don't know, might work. Here I took the Absorb Soul because I'm low on hit points, and I wanted a way to heal. It also has doubling dice. We can also always target Veigar with it, because even if he dies, he comes back to life, again, because of that immortal combination of Guardian Angel and Voidborn Carapace. Here I decided to remove the card rather than heal, and I decided on Stilted Roadmaker, I think. Okay, I got rid of Black Spear. Yeah, Black Spear's just not good. I took it because it costs 1, but it's still a bad card. And again, Roadmaker does have uses. I just didn't really use him for that effect. But it is good if you can play it a bunch of times. It just costs too much to really be that useful. Anyway, that was my thoughts on it. So on RE, you don't want to play spells if you can avoid it, basically, because they get Foxfires, so you never play any of your defensive spells until after they attack. Or actually any spells. If we used Faded Memories there, it would have been bad as well. And I don't have the damage to deal with the elusive, so I just take the hits instead, which I thought was fun. You can take a little bit of damage. And now we start trying to remove Ari. It's going to take us many darknesses, so the faster we start, you know, the faster we'll get there. Veigar also is really good at attracting hate from the opponent, so they target him a lot, which is kind of nice. And if their board's full, you are fine to play your spells, so they don't get additional Foxfires. I think it grows no. It grows one of their units, not this one. So it's not the Serene Spirit, but there's one that gets power from everything that dies. Play the bird as a blocker and then block as much as possible. As per usual, our darkness does 3 damage, so we are looking for the best combination of blocks, and then we get rid of the guy with the hat. Kill Ari, level up. Drop Twisted Catalyzer. And we're out of mana. And at this point we're not doing super well in terms of our hit points. I do copy the Catalyzer so I can play it. They did get hit with Mana Gem, which is nice, so extra Mana Gem's never bad. Drop Catalyzer, and then we're going to attack with both of them to increase the power of our darkness, which should allow us to win the game in the next turn, since I believe Veigar has been leveled for a while. Also use the Absorb Soul with doubling dice, and it only goes off once, but the idea is just to get enough hit points so that we can survive the puff caps that we draw. I was also thinking really hard during these, because playing at a disadvantage is, you know, pretty difficult. Played Catalyzer here, don't know that it mattered. Not sure why I didn't even check if I could just shoot the Nexus to death. Right now we have 14 times 3, so only 42 damage. But I actually would have had more with Pokey Stick, so I might have had enough to win there. Unclear. So here I see that I'm only taking 10 damage, and I decide that I can risk the draw, and then also heal with the Drain. So total I'll be at 8 hit points, and I decided that was better than losing any other unit. Well, actually I can't lose a unit. Using any spell, because I need the spells to win the game. Whereas my hit points only matter if they hit 0. And we almost got punished for it, but we didn't. You can see how the Voidborn Guardian Angel is keeping Veigar alive in situations where otherwise he would not be alive, and if you ever lose Veigar, it's really bad. Take Anti-Up, lets us play him for free since he can't die anyway. There's basically no downside, and we do get very lucky here, and we pick up Hold Them Off, which will solve Otacon at the end. I think I wasted another reroll here. I checked ahead to see if there was a good, like if there was a shop I wouldn't have spent a reroll, and then I got betrayed again. And here I tried to go back and give it another reroll, never learning my lesson. Yeah, I don't know what I was looking for even. Unlimited power maybe would have been okay if the trade-off wasn't too bad. But overall, Eight of Spirit's bad. It's just not a good node. You're just gonna waste more time there than if you didn't. So here I attack. I don't know why. Kind of no reason to or not to. I lost some hit points, but it doesn't really matter because I'm immortal anyway. It's fine. Played our Wizened Wizard, and then I considered blocking with him, and then I realized that it would take longer to hit Chemtech if I did that, and then I pulled him back because Chemtech is good, and taking 8 damage is fine. It's not really fine, but it's like kind of fine. But Chemtech was more worthwhile in my head. They did get enough mana to play their spell, so we got hit with a rally. A little bit unfortunate, we didn't even challenge. I remembered not to challenge, still got punished. Use darkness to keep alive and block as much as possible. Again, keeping the Wizened Wizard back so that we can hit Chemtech next round. If he dies now, we don't hit Chemtech. If we don't hit Chemtech, I think that's actually scarier than taking 9 more damage. Might be wrong there. That damage is very scary. And we drop catalyzers. Probably the other one too. We prank, making Sugary Snare cost more, denying them an extra rally. Not sure why I didn't play the second catalyzer. And I do give myself lifesteal here. It doesn't matter though because Veigar is a 1 power unit, unfortunately. The evolve works a lot better in Zoe Adventure than it does in other adventures. We're just using it for immortality on Veigar. We can trade out the Wizened Wizard now, also we kind of have to, because Chemtech is active and it's gonna remain active even if we lose it, because next round we'll still have 6 mana gems. Then I decided to fill up my board with birds, just so I have blockers for the future if they Sugary Snare or whatever. Now I have a way to deal with it. I do absorb soul on Veigar here, which is a little bit of a mistake, because again, when your board is full, you don't get the Deathless back from yourself, so that was a little bit of an issue. But I did want to use the absorb soul because I'm extremely low on hit points here. I let Veigar die because I had another one in hand, plenty of mana to play it. Darkness something, probably. The Nexus. Nexus is good. And we got lucky on the Absorbed Soul. I was able to kill my Veigar many times. And refill much of my health. Now that said, we do have Guardian Angel, so we have 2 extra revives. Probably didn't need to do it, just would have cost us a revive later on. But, I mean, if you can fill your life, why not? And we pass. We're very close to winning here. Fortunately, they mini-morph something that isn't Veigar. And I realize I can win the game. So I Darkness the Nexus, followed up with a Pokey Stick. And that is all I need to do. I do have 2 more spells too, so that if I wanted to, I could have done 4 more damage. Took Thieves' Gloves on Fading Memories. I thought about Warning Shot. Might have been a little bit better for doing damage, but I don't know. And then Vampiric Scepter makes so much sense with Immortality, so every time Veigar dies we're just going to get 4 hit points back, or 2 hit points back, I guess, because we have anti-up. But anyway, it's free life. This adventure is not really worrisome, we just need to make sure not to do damage to the Nexus until we're ready to win. That's not that hard to do. Try to keep their elusives low, block everything else. I did want to play the Wizened Wizard, but I realized I could just play it next round anyway because we have Veigar on board. So, yeah, I just didn't need to play it. And then I kill one of the... I can't remember the name. I think it starts with an E. One of the elusives. You also get elusive out of it, which is nice. Drop the Wizened Wizard, and unfortunately they killed him. So, that was actually upsetting for me when it happened. I don't know if I should be spending Darknesses when I don't have to. They can just refill the board anyway, and it's better to save it for an attack, I think. So if you ever play it defensively, I think that's actually incorrect. They do another Bard spell, I don't remember its name, which hurts our ability to defend, but we do have a lot of power in our darkness. We have a pokey stick, so we only end up taking 6 here. And again, I wasn't sure if this was a spot where that was a good plan, because we lost blockers, but we did have a bunch of birds that we could replay, so I guess it ended up being fine. Here I want to trigger Nightfall for the Doom Beast, just to get 2 hit points back. I'm very worried about sustain all of the time. Drop Otterpuss and Prank, Cosmic Binding, and Esmus. Those are the card names I didn't know. That's a living library. So here we pass, and then we can Darkness the living library, and I save the stun for any elusive that might come up. Since we started doing damage to the Nexus, all those units are going to start getting bigger and bigger, so it is imperative that we do start killing the Nexus quickly. Otherwise everything's just going to spiral completely out of control. Which is fine. I mean, we are in a winning position now. Apparently I thought about attacking with everything. Can't imagine that was a good plan. But we have enough damage in this darkness and the next darkness that it doesn't really matter. I stressed defense here to keep Veigar alive because I was worried that, I don't know, something would happen because our board was full. I don't think anything would have. I would have lost, you know, the keywords from Voidborn, but that would have been fine. It's not really a big deal. But yeah, as long as you remember not to do a ton of damage early on, that should be pretty free. Here, I took Entrancing Lure. I don't like that item at all, but just getting more copies of Veigar was worth it. Thought about that Atrocity too, and we find Lighting the Way, and I picked that up. Heal here. Probably could have spent to purchase healing and gotten the extra 1 hit point. That does matter sometimes. And it's, what am I saving my money for? The next game doesn't work that way. So, I don't know. They play Thorn of the Rose, we just kill it, which is nice that we got the ability to do that. Then they dropped Obedient Drakehound, and they can't attack with it because Thorn of the Rose is dead, fortunately. Thorn of the Rose were alive, and they could have. Played Fading Memories here. I think that was wrong. I was like, Drakehounds will surely help. They won't. First off, they can't attack on their own. They can't block. And they're ephemeral. I think the part I forgot was that they're ephemeral. And in my brain it was like, having 2 dogs is good. But no. Here we kill the defending unit. Or the attacking unit. The unit that can attack. So the Drakehound can't attack with it. And then I killed the Drakehound anyway, which I think might have been wrong, although it did save me damage here. And then we stress defense on Thorn of the Rose, so that we don't take 8 damage, taking 1 instead. This fight's gonna go a long time, so making sure that we keep our hit points up is a good plan. Attack with everything. I don't mind losing a couple units. We don't have Fading Memories. For some reason I thought we had Fading Memories. I'm not even playing this game actively right now. Kill the Thorn of the Rose to protect Veigar, which actually didn't really matter because he would have just come back anyway, but I don't know. You do want to keep their board kind of clear. We now do have Fading Memories, so we can Fading Memories. Here I thought I had Chemtech. If I had realized I didn't have Chemtech, I would have done anything else on Otacon before trying to kill him. But yeah, I just forgot. Also, when I'm being targeted with things, when I have a good amount of mana, it would be perfectly fine to spend the darkness before letting Veigar come back to life, because then we would get an extra darkness. The extra darkness does cost 3, which is a little unfortunate, but it's still an extra darkness, and like I said, when we have sufficient mana, that seems like it's not really a problem. Event Horizon here, I wanted to keep the darkness for doing damage, and plenty of mana. Lighting the Way also refills our mana, and you know me, I forgot we had Lighting the Way, and I forgot the Drakehounds were ephemeral, so just wasted a ton of mana for no reason, as per usual. Attack here, for some reason they don't block. That one I don't really understand. And then I destroy the Nexus, making it the easier section of the fight. Here I should have killed Evelyn. I did not kill Evelyn, but I definitely should have killed Evelyn. And here, I should still be killing Evelyn. The fact that I am not recognizing that Evelyn is a thing is a real problem. And so they steal my Veigar and he's huge. Yeah. It's fine. Here I checked to see if I would kill Veigar. I didn't realize I had quick attack. But I traded spots anyway so that no matter what happened he wouldn't die. Then, fortunately, we get to play an extra Veigar and we don't fill up our board so that we get him back. At this point we can now just Darkness the Nexus because we have triple cast from the double Chemtech Duplicators, and that is game. So yeah, I think the difficult part, if you are doing this more than anything else, well, it's the beginning and the end, right? So that second node where you can't level Veigar up is going to be a problem, and like I said, if you go the other way, I'm pretty sure you just die. So I wouldn't. And then at the end, if you don't have a solution for Otacon, be it stress defense in your hand, some other stun, or like I had to hold them off. If you don't have something like that, he's gonna kill you before you can get your darkness up scaled up enough to remove him. And yeah, that's definitely gonna be a problem. Helps if you keep more of their units down, which I don't think is super hard as Veigar, but I think it's going to be pretty difficult. Anyway, that is the run. Like I said, I might try this again with Epic Relics because I think there are other fun things we can do. And Frozen Tomb is really good on Veigar so that you have two of him on board. I really, really liked not having to worry about him dying. It lets me use him as a blocker all of the time, and no matter what happens, we're getting the bonus on darkness. So I don't know if I'm going to keep Voidborn Guardian Angel, or if I'm going to try something like Frozen Tomb, Big Guns, and something else. I don't know what the last thing would be. Yeah. And again, if you have Price of Retribution, I think that's going to be a little bit better than having Guardian Angel in this situation. The whole idea is just to get Deathless anyway. Although having 2 revives isn't bad. Can make up for a lot of misplays. So that is all for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what I'm doing, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.